Warning, personal opinions, satirical comedy, and spoilers.
I want to throw some flavor at you.
Give me some flavor.
In January 2018, it was reported that white extras were being applied brown makeup during filming in order to blend in, which caused an outcry and condemnation among fans and critics, branding the practice as an insult to the whole industry, while accusing the producers of not recruiting people with Middle Eastern or North African heritage. You're telling me you couldn't find any people of color to be stunt performers or effects riggers or anything? Again, remember, this was the company that filmed Mulan next to internment camps. So, that sounds like a bunch of hooey that they sold to the media to try and look good, which is so Italian kiss, so good. Pure Disney.
Be sure to join ToonGrin socials.
Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm WHYBOY and with me as always is Nero.
Mediocrity births billions. That's the name of the game today.
Thank you Disney for once again bringing us another live-action Disney remake. Woo! In 2019, which was the year of Disney remakes. And this one was amongst the most okay of the bunch.
We're doing this as a commemoration for the original 1992 animated Aladdin, which there's not much to say because it's a 1992 animated Disney film. It looks good, it's got great casting, like everyone's heard that conversation. With the idea of doing the rehashes, where it's like Disney has the opportunity to sit down and be like, you know, we could actually improve upon what was a foundation. Because if you go back and look at the, 92 Aladdin.
Basically the long and short of it is, there are bits about the 1992 version that could be refined for the new modern age of writing. But then we get ladders, and just overall it feels like Aladdin again, but with less heart. Pretty decent stage design.
I think it is the greatest, most expensive, cheapest looking Bollywood set. And we had that conversation where they go into the Cave of Wonders. There's nothing wondrous. It's mostly rocks and a couple of shekels of gold here and there. It looks like crap. Compared to the animated version of the Cave of Wonders where you're like, oh, look at all the temptation. You can't go anywhere without there being temptation. So we'll do the long shortcut of it. This is basically just the 92 film with a few minuscule alterations. But okay, so they had to change things, right? So they must have improved Aladdin, right? They must have gave him a fleshed out backstory to his characterization in this rehash.
No.
Okay. The Sultan. The Sultan in the original was like a bumbling boob who clearly didn't know what he was doing with his own country. So the Sultan, they improved him in the remake, right?
No.
Okay, Jasmine, let's be honest. Jasmine in the 92 version, she didn't have too much character behind her. Not much depth was really brought into play. They fixed that, right?
Yeah, they actually did. I really appreciated Jasmine in this movie. The only thing that really just sort of betrayed her was everyone else around her. Because Jasmine on her own basically does come across as a very intellectual, strong, independent leader who basically wants to, push her dad out of the way to be the true Sultan to basically save Agrabah from itself. But then you got Jafar on her side being like, hey, I wanna attack our enemies. You mean our allies? Yeah, our enemies.
So, let me ask that then. Because this is the 92 film, Jafar is nondescript, baddie McBadbad. So, in the 2019 remake, they must have fleshed him out, right? Give him a backstory.
Of course they did, Nero. You think Disney is a bunch of boobs?
Remember, folks, Disney hates the LGBTQ community unless they can benefit off of you financially.
Yeah, but anyways, Jafar, is he more fleshed out and deep? He's a thief.
Like he steals the movie because he's so good?
No, he was a thief in the past, and then he became the vizier, and he's all mad now because the Sultan talked down to him one time. Not really talked down to him, but he just said
My Sultan, our enemies grow stronger every day, yet you allow your daughter to dismiss Prince Andas and a possible military alliance.
Which enemies?
Shirabat continues to amass.
Shirabat is our ally.
Was our ally.
Boy, your little knees must be sore from jumping to conclusions. Ha-cha-cha.
Kenzari, who played Jafar, I mean, no disrespect, he's terrible. I don't even think it's a him thing. I think it's a Disney cinematic live-action rehash thing, where their Disney villains do not translate to live-action actors 9 times out of 10.
I think that's mostly because they don't really try to make them like the original villains were, as they were big, over the top. They basically chewed the scenery and they were just the life of the party. They wanted to make them more grounded and real. So a lot of them basically have their personalities toned down immensely. The ones that basically got off better were Lady Tremaine in the Cinderella remake, where she was able to still be her cartoonish evil self. We need those sort of cartoonish extremes to basically let them, fill a scene. Jafar's nothing.
But surely the Genie Genie, a character that was beloved by many, played by Robin Williams. Surely they must have done a phenomenal job to like flesh him out and get us to truly understand the Genie's deep and philosophical character in the rehash.
Like, people are always just like crapping on Will Smith already beforehand to be like, you can't be Robin Williams, how dare you, Will Smith, even try. The Genie has to be Will Smith. He's gotta be Will Smith's Genie. He can't be Robin's Genie because Robin isn't around anymore. It's not gonna be as good as Robin, or good or even as the same quality as Robin. I'm not even gonna talk about subjectively whether you like Robin's Genie or you didn't like Robin's Genie. It has to be Will's Genie. Because if you try to force him into the Robin Williams box, he's not gonna fit. But no, Guy Ritchie comes in and be like, hey, no, you gotta be Robin Williams and Will Smith at the same time. So you'll basically have Robin Williams scenes where he's be like,
And the crowd goes wild! The genie's on fire!
The genie's on fire, folks.
Don't scold them! Somebody cool me down! Somebody put me out! I'm too much!
you know, mannerisms and such that are just Robin Williams-esque. Basically just adding the esque part basically just shows how much of a cheap parroting it is. But when he's his own Will Smith Genie, he's the cool Genie. He's the guy that you could basically hang out with. He's like your best bud. And that's a really cool different Genie from Robin Williams Genies. Like the Robin Williams Genie, how would you describe him? I would say he's like a big, almost like teddy bear Genie.
He's goofy. Of course he is. He's Robin. He's loud and he's bombastic and he's energetic. But there's a warmth to him that's very father figure-like. Because I think Will, for the most part, is pretty good.
Yeah, basically his highlight scenes are with Aladdin, as they're both just like acting, buddying it up. Like when they first meet Jasmine and the Sultan for the first time. Their awkward back and forth is hilarious to see.
Now the problem you have with that, when you take these characters that are tailor-made for a specific performer in mind, and then you decide, they're interchangeable, it falls apart. And there's no better evidence to this. When he's Will Smithing it up, he's good. And then the parts where he has to be the bombastic, energetic, Robin Williams-esque character, where you're like, that doesn't sound right.
I'm in the mood to help you, dude.
I'm in the mood to help you, dude.
And I've had this conversation with you with the Disney rehashes as a whole. The failing of the Disney rehashes come down to, they want to weaponize your nostalgia in order for you to watch it and just think, oh, I remember X, and that's why it's in the movie. That's a perfect summation too of like Iago's contribution in this rehash is, he's here because he was in the other one. Because then it comes off to a degree of, what is the end goal here? What are you trying to accomplish?
Money!
I think that's also the thing, is that out of all the performers in the film, I think Will is probably the best one. The Jasmine one's not bad. Jasmine suffers from Disney, where she has to be the thing you remember from the 92 film. So she has to sort of stay in her lane.
But you just said that it was based on the actress, when that's not really the actress, that's more the storytelling. What really just like ruins the actress is the support around her, because Jasmine's story is supposedly based on, you know, Jafar and the Sultan basically having to prop her up, based on the thematics that they have alongside them. And both those characters are boring as crap.
Hear me out. I think when they make Jasmine like, I want to be the next Sultan of Agrabah, I want to take care of our people and I want to help our people, I think that's all fantastic and is actually owned really well by like Naomi Scott. And then the movie's just like course correct itself within the confines of its own existence.
Yeah, it's trying to be the climax of the first Aladdin and then the climax of this Aladdin as well, which are two different climaxes in and of itself, or how they set it up to be. I'd say overall, Aladdin 2019 basically looked and acted like a Bollywood movie in terms of just like its fun settings, fun characters. It just felt like a really high production Bollywood movie. But then when you reach the climax, oh god, Hollywood, parrot dragon thing going through the city, smashing explosions,
And I've said that to you about this when we were watching it, where it's like a 2-hour runtime. They add nothing. The Sultan's not really fleshed out. Yeah, like he had a wife and she died. That's it. Moved on. That's just dressing. Jafar, I was a thief. Okay. I thought they were going to set up a parallel, but there's no like commitment.
Yeah, it's just, I'm a thief, I was a thief. Parallels.
So you're saying the 92 version did a better job with the parallels of like, you have these two individuals from different walks of life, but they're both liars pretending to be someone else to get what they want. One being the quote-unquote loyal Grand Vizier, and the other one being a prince from a far-off land.
Yeah, exactly. And basically that's created much more parallel that basically makes more gut-punching reveal. Back to the climax a little bit more. Where it's just like, we had this sort of mashing of Bollywood and Hollywood in this 2019 movie, and then when you go back to the original, it was basically very much focused. It was very character-based face for Aladdin, as Jafar is basically doesn't have to be the parallel to Aladdin, he just has to be the mirror that points out Aladdin's hypocrisy of his lies, just like how Jafar lied. Basically becomes more of a character climax for Aladdin especially, whereas here, it doesn't feel as much, because it's basically too busy trying to be all loud and bombastic to basically, you know, engage you with its visuals.
Can we talk about some of the weird stuff that came out around this movie?
Now, what weird stuff are we talking about?
How about the fact that they wanted to give Prince Anders his own spin-off?
Who?
The nondescript white guy that shows up.
Who?
Oh, okay. Yeah, they want to give that guy a spin-off.
Why? He had no bearing on the plot at all. He was just a setup for the idea. Just like, Jasmine won't choose any of these men because, you know, they're vapid and she doesn't want to end up with that. Well, why would anyone want to end up with that?
Do you feel like the Genie one would have been a better spin-off for this as a franchise than...
Well, yeah. That's just by default, yeah. It's a much better idea in terms of just like, yeah, the Genie was kind of a main character in this movie, so him getting a spin-off makes more sense than a random side character.
And they're uncommittal to that, which is a perfect summation of the entire live-action rehashes of these movies is uncommittal. Except for Cinderella, which I guess was remarkably committed to just being Cinderella and nothing else. Which is probably why it was so good.
Yeah, we just want to be a better Cinderella and that's it. And we're just like, yeah, that's all we wanted. Yay!
If you think about it, right? We want to do more with Jasmine. Don't commit. We want to do more with Jafar. Don't commit. We want Will to be his own Genie. Don't commit. We want to have a prequel with the Genies. Don't commit.
Because at the very end of the day, it's just a non-committal movie that basically doesn't want to go full tilt into anything to basically play it safe. It creates such a frustrating watch.
That's almost all the rehashes is like, you're a frustrating watch. With the exception of like a handful of you that you could probably count on one hand.
Which we did in this video right here.
I'm not going to be ashamed of that. Go watch our video, man. We put a lot of work into it.
If you want it to be like the animated movie again, it's just gotta be the animated movie again. It's gotta be Lady and the Tramp. It's gotta be Cinderella. It's gotta be their own things, just tightened up for modern writing. If you want something different, you gotta be like Christopher Robin and go full tilt into that. If you go halvesies on it, you're just going to end up with this. A movie that basically has a lot of great elements to it, but it doesn't come together by the end because it's just a half-assed mess.
I remember a wise quote. I think it's a good way to end things on. There's a quote from the great Ron Swanson of Parks and Recreations. And the quote goes,
Never half-ass two things. Whole-ass one thing.
And I think that is the perfect summation of not just 2019 Aladdin, but also almost every Disney rehash out there. But what do you guys think about the 2019 Aladdin? Was it a horrendous train wreck, or was it like, hey, you alright? I don't know why I went to a weird voice about that. Well, let us know what you think about in the comments below. And as always, be sure to tune in
to ToonGrin.